Hello again. In this video I thought I'd talk a little bit about features on the guitar and how suitable the guitar is for the job. And this guitar is one I've had since new. I bought it in 1990. Actually bought it direct from a Fender demonstrator. There was a demonstration night on at a local music store. A guy from Fender was there showing off various guitars and amps and so on. And at the time I was in the market for a rock guitar, and Fender made this as the Fender HM Strat. It doesn't look particularly Fenderish, granted, but it's what Fender were bringing out at the time in competition with the guys like Ibanez, trying to get into the super Strat market. And it ticked all the boxes for me. I was looking for a rock guitar. You know, it had 24 fret neck, good electrics, got a humbucker at the bridge. It's not a Floyd Rose trem, it's a Carla Spider, but very like Floyd in its operation, so that was good for me. And sounds good, plays well. It's what I wanted in a rock guitar. Price was right, so I bought it. And it served me very well over the years as a rock guitar. And it's pretty much stock. The only real modifications I've made to it over the years is taking the strap buttons off, replacing them with Dunlop strap buttons, which I do on all my guitars. And I wasn't particularly enamoured with the logo type on the headstock, so I just taped over that with a bit of black tape. Apart from that, bog standard. Does everything I want from a rock guitar. Thing was, being a teacher, I'm teaching styles other than just rock and heavy metal, and I didn't want to have to cart loads of different guitars around with me. I wanted something that was a good general sort of workhorse, which is why I went to Thompson Guitars and I got this built. So if you've seen any of my other videos here on YouTube, you'll probably recognise this guitar because it's the one I tend to use the most. This was a custom order from me from Thompson Guitars. I went there with a basic design for what I wanted as a good general purpose guitar that's good for rock, good for blues, you know, good for all sorts of different styles. And basically this is another guitar which has never really been modified in any way since I got it, because it was designed to do what I wanted. My requirements really haven't changed that much. The only thing I might change about it at some point, if I've been playing the pink Strat there quite a bit, and that's got quite big frets. When I come back to this, as soon as I find the fret wise, it just feels a little bit narrow in comparison, but not enough that I really want to bite the bullet and make the change and rip the fret wire off and replace it. You know, this is a custom guitar, it does what I want, and it's pretty much standard. Brings me to another one of my guitars, namely this one. This one you might have seen featured on the YouTube videos a bit more recently. It's one I've completed earlier this year. It's a Bitsocaster project. I basically got some parts, you know, got the body, got the neck, got the pickups, and built the guitar myself from scratch. It's not quite the same as the custom guitar because I'm having to pick features of existing neck that I could buy off the shelf, or an existing body that I could buy off the shelf. It was a bit of fun, it was a bit of an experiment, and quite an interesting thing to do, to try building a guitar from parts. But because I was building something, if you like, under my own steam, rather than relying on, you know, a finished product coming out the factory, I could be a bit selective. You know, I could make the decision that I wanted a 22 fret neck rather than 21 fret. I could make the decision that I wanted the locking machine heads rather than the standard ones. Experimented a little bit with the pickups. These are Seymour Duncan hot rails, which a lot of people think is a bit of a strange choice to have in a thin line telly. Actually, I think they work quite well, and I think they're probably going to be staying in here for a while. But the beauty of a little project like this is things can be changed. You know, if I decided those pickups didn't really work, I can take those out, you know, flog them on eBay and replace them with something else. I'm kind of growing into this guitar now. I've had it to play for a while, and I'm spotting little things that I might change. I've got humbucking pickups in here, the single coil size humbuckers, and I'm thinking it might be quite nice to have a coil tap on them. Well, I've got the option. I could take the volume or the tone pot and replace that with a push pull that's got the coil tap feature. You know, there's little ways that I can modify this guitar, you know, without really fundamentally changing what it is or how it looks, to give me some extra features. And that's an interesting thing that guitarists will often do. They'll get a guitar, and if it doesn't do quite what we want, we can make little changes, you know, changing the pickups, you know, even something more radical like getting a replacement neck. If you've got a 21 fret neck on your Strat but you want a 22 fret neck, yeah, there's aftermarket necks from people like Warmoth or Mighty Mite or whatever that you can get. to replace what you've got on your guitar and modify it and make it better suited to the job that you want it for, and it also helps kind of personalise it a bit and make it your own. There's sort of a bit of a downside to the customizing of guitars and modifying guitars, and I'm going to show you that now. So this guitar has had quite a few modifications over the years, one or two before it got to me, quite a few after I got it. Those modifications haven't always been carried out brilliantly, and the guitar kind of still bears the scars of some less than professional handiwork over the years. Talk a little bit about the guitar. I came by this guitar. Now I've talked about this on another one of my videos, so I'm probably repeating myself a little bit here. But basically the story behind this guitar was I was in a town visiting a friend quite a ways from home, and walked past a shop. It wasn't really a music store, it was more kind of like a junk shop, pawn shop type of place, and I had this guitar in the window. What caught my attention as much as anything was how much it reminded me of my own first electric guitar. It's a Squier Strat. Now my first guitar was a Squier Katana, which is kind of a weird shape, but it was finished in frost white, had a single humbucker and a Strat trem that I subsequently replaced with a Floyd Rose. So I saw this white Strat, single humbucker with a retrofitted Floyd Rose, and it just really caught my imagination, and a bit of an impulse purchase. I picked it up. Now before it came to me, say the Floyd Rose had been fitted, and it wasn't quite the perfect job. The neck, to be honest, wasn't built for a locking nut, but it's just about being fitted right. Main problem is that the strings are a little bit too far towards the bass side of the neck, so it's quite easy. I'm used to it now, but it's actually quite easy to have the bass strings kind of roll off the side of the neck a little bit. You know, everything needs to be just a little bit further towards the floor. But it's kind of came to me, it had plenty of knocks and dings and so on in the paintwork, so I wasn't going to be really precious about it. It was just a good workhorse guitar, and I've done various modifications to it. One thing I did around here, I took the neck plate off and cut the corner off the heel so I can get much better access to the top of the neck. Now in retrospect, maybe I should have got a proper offset neck plate to put on here as part of the job. All I did was just take the existing one, cut the corner off, file it down, polish it and finish it. It's okay, but maybe it's not as professional as it could be. At one point it had two pickups in, it had a neck humbucker here as well and a switch down here. The positioning of the neck pickup was never quite right. I always had in mind that I might fit a 24 fret neck, so I routed out for the neck pickup so it was going to be right for 24 fret neck. I never got around to replacing the neck. This is still the standard neck that was on it when I got the guitar, so the pickup's kind of in the wrong place, if you know what I mean. It's just a little bit too far towards the bridge. That pickup's since been taken out, and I've just kind of covered over the cavity, but I've now got kind of a hole there. It's not in the right place, so I don't want to put another pickup in it, but there's wood missing, so it's kind of is going to affect the sound a little bit by not having a solid piece of timber there. Pickups have been replaced a few times, and I've ended up now to Ibanez pickup. Got it from a friend of mine who was doing some part swaps on his own Ibanez RG550, so I've got an IBZ pickup to put in here from him. I did a swap. Another modification I made, which I'm in hindsight not so happy about, I rushed the job too much, was the original jack socket was flush mounted, so the cable came sticking out and I got in the way of the trem arm. I wanted something angled, so I got a proper Strat style jack socket cover, but I didn't have the means at the time to route out around here where it should go, so I just cut it into the scratch plate. It does the job, but it just looks a little bit wrong, and it does kind of niggle a little bit. But that said, it's a good working guitar, and I do love it. It's probably one of the guitars I would try and save from the burning building first, if you know what I mean. Kind of what I'm getting at in this video is modifying guitars. It's a useful approach. If you've got a guitar that you've become accustomed to, you like the way it feels, but the sound's not quite right, then yeah, replace the pickup. Or if you've got something with a Strat style trem, but you need something with a bit more movement, you want a proper whammy bar, yeah, you can replace that Strat trem with something like the Floyd Rose, and it'll do the job for you. But if you're going to make those modifications, you need to think about, first off, how suitable is it going to be to somebody else. Now, you might be thinking you're never going to sell that guitar of yours, but never say never. You don't know what's going to come along in the future, and you might need to sell that guitar. If you're doing something that's kind of quirky and very specific to you, there's always a chance it's going to have a knock-on on the resale value. I'm not saying don't do it, but just be prepared that you might have to take a financial hit on the resale value of the guitar if you make a certain modification. More importantly is think about who's going to be doing the mod. Is it going to be you, or are you going to get somebody to do it? If you're going to have a go at doing it yourself, think about, is it within your capabilities? Are you sure you understand what's involved? Have you researched all the potential gotchas and the things that might go wrong and the workarounds that you might need? And think about, if you hit a problem, if something goes wrong, what's the worst case scenario? Is there going to be damage done to the guitar that you can't repair, or is it just going to be a case of you pack your guitar up in the case, take that and a few bits and bobs down to your local music store and get the luthier there to try and get you out of your hole and fix the problem for you? Because some things you can do on a guitar are fairly non-invasive. Like changing a pickup. It's just a case of unscrewing what's already there, undoing some soldering in the new pickup and screwing it in. That's fine, you can easily undo that. Some things are a bit more, like I say, a bit more invasive, like that mod I did there where I cut the wood away from the neck heel. If I'd cut that wrong, I'd taken wood off that I wasn't meant to take off, I could end up compromising the strength of the neck joint or something like that. So I had to be confident that I had the skills with the saw and the file and so on to be able to do that job myself. A bit of advice I got off my dad in the workshop one time. It's very easy to cut wood off, but you just can't cut wood back on. Once if you've taken something off your guitar, it's going to be very, very difficult to undo some things if you get them wrong. But that said, it's a good way to be able to add value to your guitar and make it more usable and personalise it a little bit. Be able to do things like changing pickups or changing the wiring options or whatever. So think about doing something you might want to do to your own guitar, particularly if you've got like a lower end guitar that's fundamentally okay. Like a Squier Strat like this is a good example. It's a good piece of tone wood. There's acoustically it sounds really good, but as some bits of the hardware you can tell where they've had to cut corners price wise. So like the machine heads were a little bit cheap, but that's something that can be replaced. It was just a bog standard Strat trem. Again, that can be replaced. The basic thing that we're working with is quite a strong foundation. What you can't do is get a really super budget guitar, made out of balsa wood or something, then try and put a set of Seymour Duncan or DiMarzio pickups in and expect it to sound brilliant. It won't, because you're not starting from something that's fundamentally sound. I'm talking here about taking something that's maybe just not quite right in one area and changing that part or adding something to bring it up to scratch so it does what you want it to do. So there's something to think about. If your guitar's not doing quite what you want, there are ways you can modify it, to bring it up to speed for what you need, like changing pickups and so on. But be careful if you want to do the job yourself. Make sure it is within your own capabilities. If you're not sure, get a proper luthier to do the work for you. Don't run the risk of damaging your guitar irreparably, because you want to be able to play it for years to come. Okay, that's all for this time. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in another video soon. Bye for now.